Alright, welcome to Low Headroom. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to wire a switch into customer's Telecaster. So today we've got the 5-way switch. He no longer wants in there. The only thing I've done so far is I've detached this red wire, this white wire, and this yellow wire. So there will probably be 3 wires in total. And then we've got the new switch here. It's an import switch. It's an alpha switch. It's got 8 terminals, and so now we want to know, well, which wire goes where. Well, the first thing we have to do is figure out which is the bridge pickup and what is the neck pickup. I'm about to show you how you can easily identify which is which. Okay, first let's take a multimeter. Let's put it on volts DC at the lowest settings. We want to take our red lead, and we know that either the white or yellow wire is going to be the bridge or the neck. So I put it on the white wire. Okay, and the black terminal is going to go on the bridge itself. Alright, so I've got my black lead tied to the bridge. Got my red lead tied to one of the wires. Now, for the fun part. We'll watch the meter, take a magnetic screwdriver, and touch the pickups. And let's look at the meter while we do it. I can see a little bit of response, but let's go to the bridge. I'm basically just tapping the bottom pickup and getting a lot of response. That means that my yellow wire here is the bridge pickup. Let's go ahead and put the white wire on the lead, and let's confirm our hypothesis. You can see it responds immediately. So I now know that the white wire here is our neck pickup. So that's how you figure out which one's neck and which one's bridge without taking everything off. Alright, with that being said, now that we know that yellow is bridge and white is neck, probably want to write that down somewhere. It's time to begin soldering the switch. Now what I had to do on this one is kind of restrip the wires or clean the existing solder off. It's your choice. If they're not long enough, you may have to overstrip one and then extend another wire on it with some heat shrink. So the first thing we want to do is bridge the 2 terminals in the middle. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and 4 need to be bridged. So you can either do that with a wire or a guitar string of a certain thickness. I think I'm going to go ahead and use a wire for some simplification. I'm using 22 gauge wire here. Cut off a small piece. Let's cut off about that much. You'll see what I'm doing here. Okay, and then we're going to strip all of the rubber off of it. So I'm going to get it in my strippers here, which these pliers are amazing because they're also strippers. Strippers are amazing. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to pull. And now I've got just a wire that we can do whatever we want with. So the next part is putting it in between those 2 terminals. Now I've chosen the long length here for a reason, because it's going to be easier to maneuver as far as soldering it to the first terminal. You hold your solder to the work, heat it up, and there we go. There's a good joint right there. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is bend it slightly. We want to cut it to a length that will fit in that hole. So this is going to be a little tricky. You're going to want to angle it, get a good length. And then I'm just going to cut it where I think is appropriate. Alright, so we've got a very short wire now. Now we need to use some small needle nose pliers to get that in place. Just going to bend it and put it inside of the terminal. There it goes. It doesn't need to be perfect looking, but that's effective. Now, don't close it off just yet with solder because we have to attach it to the appropriate wire. The center wire here is going to go from the potentiometer to that middle point. So let's go ahead and solder that in. We've got it at a very tricky angle here, so this is going to take some skill. Okay. Hold it to the work gently as you can, and there's a good bead. Simple as that. Very good. We now have our potentiometer hooked to the 2 middle terminals. Alright, I would encourage you to put an old rag down just to protect the guitar. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a jumper between these 2 pins and these 2 pins. We're not going to utilize the far 2 pins, just this one and this one. I'm going to use the technique that we used with the green wire. Again, going to cut a pretty decent piece here. Okay, We're going to take that wire and strip the end off as much. Okay, and then we're going to pull the rubber off entirely. There we go. Alright, we're going to place our jumper wire between these two pins here. Okay. Alright, we finally got that in there. And now we're going to cut the wire to the appropriate length here. And use our needle nose to go ahead and bend that. Alright, I've made the decision to extend this little yellow wire a little bit so that I have, I could probably get it in there, but it's going to be a little bit of a fight, so I'm going to extend it just a smidge. My method of extending wires is to strip a good portion off of a new wire. This is 22 gauge. Okay, what we'll do is we'll take these two wires and wrap them together. First, I almost forgot a crucial step, and that is to get some heat shrink. Okay, so I've got some heat shrink here, and what I'm going to do is twist this together to the best of my ability. Alright, now we're going to solder those two together. And we're going to put the shrink wrap on. Heat shrink, sorry. Hold it with the helping hand here. And I'm going to take my soldering iron. I'm going to roll my soldering iron on it very carefully, making sure not to touch the guitar. Alright, that looks pretty good. So now that we've got our new wire here, I'm going to cut it up here. And now we have plenty of length. So we'll pull that switch back up that we have one wire soldered to. Take our yellow wire and strip the end off of it now. Just a little bit. Just the tip. Alright, and we're going to use the helping hand. Alright, now let me show you what I'm doing here. Alright, so remember where we put the jumper? I'm just putting this wire right on the other terminal to solder both the jumper in and the bridge pickup wire, so that when he turns the switch down, it will connect. Perfect. Very nice, very nice. Alright, let's test it. We got our meter on ohms, 200. Going to take the red terminal, red lead, and put it on where we just put our jumper. And I'm going to take my black lead and put it right in the middle here on this other jumper wire. And look at that, we have resistance at both the middle position and the bridge position, which is exactly what we should have. Okay, the next step is actually going to be putting a jumper between these two here. Remember, we're not using the end terminals. So this will be for the neck position. I'm going to go ahead and solder a little jumper wire right in this terminal here. Alright, so this is for our jumper wire. Very good. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is take this jumper wire, cut it to the appropriate length, and get it in this pin right above my fingernail. Alright, we got the last jumper done, and now we're just going to take the white wire from the neck and put it in there and solder it in. That's our last step. Very good. Make sure that connection is solid. Make sure all our connections are solid. Alright, so we're going to check for continuity with our multimeter set to 200 in the ohms area. We're going to put our black lead to the center, and we're going to put our red lead to the jumper we just put on. Okay, we've got continuity in the middle, which is good. Now we switch to the neck position, and we also have continuity. Now if it were to look like this, that means there's no continuity. Our switch is done. Let's go ahead and install it and see how it works. Before restringing the instrument, I want to make sure the pickups work. So I'm in the middle selection. We should hear, I do, neck. Perfect. Alright, so here's the switch, just to show it works. There's the bridge. Here's the neck. Sounds good. Middle. Excellent. That's how you put a switch in.